Hi there, this is Lisa the Sarah Certified Aromatherapist, bringing you video 7 in my Safety with Common Sense video series, How to Safely Select Essential Oils for the Treatment of a Burn. In video 5 we talked about, and I showed you an adverse reaction a woman got from treating a soldering iron burn and subsequently at the same time simultaneously treating what she thought was candida. In bringing you this video following up with that one, I'm hoping that you will be able to safely formulate a burn formulation in order to have it on hand ready to go in the condition, in the event that you or someone within your family actually experiences a burn. So what I'm hoping that you will do with this video after watching it is to either take or acquire the essential oils on here that are resonating with you, and to do a patch skin test on yourself and any members of your immediate family that you would be likely to use this on, in order to ensure there's no adverse skin reactions to the single essential oil. Some of these essential oils you can use straight, neat, immediately after you've applied proper first aid proper first aid protocols for both a first and second degree burn, and you can apply as a triage in the event of a third degree burn while you're seeking or right before you go off to seek emergency medical assistance. And some of these you can continue to use diluted either by themselves or in conjunction. So if you choose to formulate a blend using multiple oils in conjunction, you also want to do a second skin patch test of the blended oils. And that patch test is always done after the oil has sat for a little bit of time, maybe a few hours. The reason for that is because the essential oils are made up of dozens, if not hundreds, of different chemical components, organic chemicals. And when you mix organic chemicals with organic chemicals, you might have a chemical reaction, right? And you might have some metabolites, and you might have new chemical constituents being made out of the conjoining of two or multiple different chemical constituents within the formulation. So you want to do a secondary patch test a couple hours after you've blended your formulation, just to be sure that there is no reaction now that you've made this blend, okay? And then once you have it blended, you will want to go ahead and make sure you have it labeled, right, with the oils that you've put in, what it's for as your source bottle, and date it to ensure that you know when you created it, what's in it, what you're planning to use it for, and how to use it, okay? And then you can go ahead and, once you have a safe formulation, a blended source bottle, you can go ahead and make an application formulation, and we'll go over that in just a little bit. So again, my hope is that you can take this information, do some pre-planning, find essential oils that you like the smell of, that will suit your need, whether you're looking for a first degree, a second degree, or maybe you're going to do two formulations, one for a first degree, one for a second degree burn, depending on what you think you would need the most of, okay, or you would use the most. When you do a formulation, you want to make sure that you're not having it on hand for years. Usually a formulation, you want to have like a 6 to 12 month kind of shelf life on it, depending on the oils that you're using and the expiration dates, obviously, of the oils that you're using. So depending on the constituents of the oil, how antimicrobial those oils are, and then also if your oil is short dated, you're not going to leave it for 6 months, because if the oil is expiring in a month, you're only going to be able to keep that in your first aid kit for a month. So be careful and double check those expiration dates. If you've opened your oil and you've had it opened for 10 months, you really should only, count on having that formulation for 2 months, because you don't want to have an oil opened for more than a year, especially if it's possible an oxidative oil, because it has a lot of monoterpenes in it, because that can cause adverse skin reactions. So it's always good to date your bottles and make sure that you're using them within the year that you've opened them. Okay, so enough of that. Let's go ahead and look at the oils you can use. So I'm going to bring up in just a minute my table. So I've created a table, and I've tried to be pretty thorough in what I've included. And again, this is to be used, you can see which oils you can use neat in the table, which I think is helpful, but it's mostly used so you can formulate your blend. So the maximum drops in a diluted blend, I've done it all at 50, and there's one oil in here that's less than 50, so pay attention. If you are using that oil, which is rose oil, you want to make sure that you're not using any more than 19 drops, because any more than 19 drops in your formulation is going to exceed the max dermal amount according to Tisserand and Young, and greatly increase your risk of having an adverse skin reaction. So we're going to go over briefly just a few of them, not a whole lot. Botanical common names of the oils. Can you use them neat? Do they need to be used with dilution? Maximum drops. Can they be used with medications? Are they safe for all the children? Are they safe for fetal development? As we saw in my last video, video 6, what's in your bottle? Lavender. We found that some oils can be abortifacient, and some oils are fetal toxic. So we want to make sure, just like we wouldn't put oils on our born children, we don't want to use oils that can have an adverse effect on our preborn or potentially preborn children. So women of childbearing years, if you're seeing an oil on this list and this column here does not have a yes in it, I highly suggest you get those oils out of your home. Okay, people with on medications, if you're seeing an oil where this column does not have a yes in it, I highly recommend that you either check with your aromatherapist, reach out, give me a call or email to see if that oil is safe with the medications that you are taking. If you don't want to do that, I simply would not use those oils, and again, I would get them out of your home, because you don't want a potential adverse reaction, a medicine, drug reaction, right? Doctors have malpractice suits for that. So we want to make sure that you're not using something that could potentially cause harm with the medicines that you're doing, or even kickstart the medicines into working too well, right? Because they can do that as well. And then the ones in here, safe for all kids, you want to be cognizant about this. One, for the formulations you're making, if you have young children, you want to check those notes. What age can the ones that don't say yes be used on? And if you have oils where it doesn't say yes, you want to make sure that you have recapped them with these childproof or more childproof caps, the ones where you have to push down on the cap to open it rather than the regular twist tops, right? Because we want to keep our kids safe. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of the table here. And you'll see on the table that I've indicated the oils to be used in dilution. And they're meant to be used with a combined total of 100 drops. We're going to be making, or the goal is to make a 5 milliliter source bottle, okay, for your Burn formulation. And I've labeled this Burn source bottle and what's in it. And this is so that you have it ready to draw from to make the formulations as you need it. So then from the source bottle, after we've let it set and we've done our skin patch test, we're going to take 18 drops, and we have 3 things we can do with those drops. Two of them involve diluting them and mixing them with soluble. Soluble is a very unique essential oil dispersant. You can use this for any water-based application, whether it's a bath, whether it's to put in your tea, in your water, or in this case we're going to use it in aloe vera gel. So we're going to use 90 drops of the soluble. So it's 1 drop oil to 5 drops soluble in order to have it mixed properly. And that's 4.5 milliliters. And then we're either going to put it in a 1 ounce spritz bottle filled with water, shake it up to make it the solution, and we're going to be able to spray that on the burn area so there's no contact. So this is really good for 2nd-degree burns, where the skin has blistered and erupted, and for 3rd-degree burns where the skin has been burnt off and we're doing those bandage dressing changes, so no contact needs to happen. The second thing we can do is, after mixing it with the soluble, we can go ahead and put it into an aloe vera gel formulation, and this can be rubbed on. The third thing we can do is we can skip using the soluble, and we can simply put those 18 drops in a carrier oil. And I've listed some preferred up here. They're not listed in any percentage of preference, but these oils, olive oil, rosehip oil, St. John's wort, calophyllin, and sweet almond oil, all have specific properties that help heal burns, meaning that they've been used by themselves without essential oils, and their properties have stimulated and increased and sped up the healing of the burns. Now, I've also listed fractionated coconut oil on there because it wicks through the skin very well, does not leave a sticky residue, so it is very helpful to go through the skin and to keep the surface of the skin clean and smooth. Okay, so on here I have obviously the essential oil, and then kind of basic, is this good to use, how can you use it, who should not use it, and then kind of what it does. So ultimately, what you'd want to think about is there's a difference between 1st-degree and 2nd-degree burns. 1st-degree burns are just kind of red, painful to the touch, painful like on the onset, but they don't puff up, they don't blister, might have a little bit of swelling in the area. So you're going to want more kind of an analgesic, circulatory. You probably won't need something necessarily that lifts the mood, so probably just choosing it from the way you like the fragrance, and then just being able to take that edge off, and probably something cooling to just kind of have that immediate relief. And you probably won't need to use it for much more than 5 days or so, I would imagine, as it's healing. Now, a 2nd-degree burn is going a little deeper. You're probably going to want something that's a little bit more for pain, and you're probably going to want something more that's anti-inflammatory, and it's going to take the exudate away, so also something that's going to increase circulation. And now, if you've had a burn for a while, you might want to do something that's going to be stimulating to the body, and make sure that you're doing something that's highly anti-infectious and antiseptic, okay, if your burn's in a larger area. So these are just some general guidelines, on here for you. I do want to point out that, again, the top portion, first few oils, are great to be used neat, okay? So Helichrysum, anybody can use it. It's very, very safe to use neat, and obviously you can do it in your dilution. Lavender, fantastic oil. These two are really, really good skin regenerative, analgesic. This is great, antimicrobial, regenerative. This one's really good if your skin is starting to come in and it's getting itchy. That antipyretic is fantastic. Bergamot is wonderful, analgesic, sedative, anti-infectious. But all our citrus we got to watch out for that we're not going in the sun for 12 hours after application. For a burn, a little different because we're probably going to be bandaging that burn. So the burn itself isn't going to be the sun, but we want to make sure we've washed our hands thoroughly, or whoever put it on us or treated us has washed their hands thoroughly before they go into the sun, because it is phototoxic and they will cause sunburn with the sun exposure. Roman chamomile is one of the most gentle essential oils, so this is great for young children. It's analgesic, relaxing, anti-inflammatory, and anti-infectious. If you only have one oil to do, Roman chamomile kind of does it all in one package. Copaiba is awesome for those 2nd degree or 3rd degree burns. It's wonderful anti-inflammatory properties, anti-analgesic properties, and it's antiseptic, so it's going to help keep it clean, but it also stimulates the circulatory system, so it's going to take away that cellular debris from the injury and make way for the good cells to continue. Frankincense is wonderful skin regeneration. It's an antioxidant, okay, so it's going to help kind of clear those free radicals within the system, especially if you have other health concerns that you're working with at the same time. It's always great to add some frankincense in the blend. You want to be careful. This one does have increased skin sensitivity because it can oxidize, so that's the reason why you want to make sure you keep your lid tightly on your frankincense bottles. And if you're getting down, low, then you might want to put your remaining oil in a smaller container in order to make sure that it's not oxidizing, it's not having that reaction with the oxygen. Okay, another good way to stop that is to actually refrigerate. So your citrus oils and these oils high in monoterpenes, you can refrigerate them in order to slow down the oxidization process and forestall that possible skin sensitization due to the oxidation. So tangerine's really good. It's anti-infectious, sedative, but uplifting. So the citruses kind of like lift the spirits, lift the mind. Siberian fir is an awesome grounding oil. It's analgesic, and this one is stimulating to the body. So if you've had kind of plateauing in your healing, this is a good one to kind of stimulate the body to get into that next stage of the healing of the skin. So if the pain is gone and now we're trying to get into that skin regeneration, the swelling is gone, but we haven't quite got that far, great. Or if the skin is going well, but you're still having some nerve sensations, this is really good to kind of say, hey brain, let's listen to what's going on here, and let's give this burn, this injury, what it needs in order to heal. So I like this one. So now we're going to get into the oils that you don't want to use with children under 8 because it has a high 1.8 phenol content, the eucalyptol, and that makes us take that big breath, okay? There's 2 other oils on this list that have the high 1.8 phenol. Well, one other one that has that phenol, that's the eucalyptus radiate, and then one that has menthol, high menthol, that's the peppermint. So these oils you don't want to use with children under 8 years old, okay, just because as their lungs are developing, if they're exposed to this chemical constituents, then there's a potential for an adverse reaction and a health issue to develop within their lungs. And again, our goal is to make these little guys feel better, not worse, so we're not going to use them. We have plenty of alternatives. The reason you, as an adult, or you might want to use this on an older child, is if the burn is over a larger area or it is a 3rd degree burn and you are using it during dressing changes in order to forestall infection, because 1.8 phenol is a fantastic antimicrobial agent. So it's really, really good for that. Then we have carrot seed, blue cypress, and myrrh. These 3, along with the Spanish lavender, if you are a woman and you're open to pregnancy, trying to get pregnant, currently pregnant, breastfeeding, get these oils out of your home. Give them to somebody who is not of this age and stage. Let them experience them. and then when you are over this age and stage, bring them back into your home, because they are really good oils, just not for you right now. So carrot is a wonderful skin regeneration. It is a beautiful oil for the skin. It stimulates that regeneration aspect. So it's a really, really good oil to have on hand for skin issues. Blue cypress is a wonderful anti-inflammatory, so you can use it, just not if you are of that age and stage. And then myrrh works hand in hand with frankincense. It's a beautiful complementary oil, anti-infectious, antibacterial, antiseptic, and it's a whole body tonic. So those two oils really complement each other very well. And then we're going to go ahead and come on into oils that you don't want to use if you have medications, okay? So that's going to be your blue tansy, your German chamomile, and then if we come down here, we have the geranium and yarrow, okay? So these four, if you have these in your home or are interested in possibly using one of these four or multiples of these four, you want to get in touch with an aromatherapist like myself or somebody local to you that you trust, and let them know the medicines you're on in order to ensure there's no adverse reaction. Again, I got this information from Tisserand and Young, essential oil safety gurus, the go-to in essential oil safety. It's too complicated to get into all the fine tunings of which medications this one is contraindicated with and which medications that one's indicated with. So it's too much to get into for a video. But for general purposes, if you don't have those oils in your own medicines, just don't put them on your wish list. If you have them in your house, you can either give them to a friend who's not on medications, or seek the consult of an aromatherapist to ensure the medications you're on are safe to use with the essential oil, that there is no drug interaction. It's not going to contraindicate the drug, and it's not going to hyperstimulate the drug. Okay, those are the two concerns that we have with medications. So now we're going to go into oils that anybody can use, but you need to make sure you're using them only in dilution, and that's rosemary. And this is important that you're only looking for the chemotype verbenone. There's different chemical types of the rosemary. They're all Rosmarinus officinalis, so it's not enough just to see Rosmarinus officinalis. You need to see Rosemary officinalis CT verbenone. And this one is good for its analgesic, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory properties. Now there is one that's a Rosemary CT 1.8 senile. That one you don't want to use in burns. It's not been indicated for use in a burn with any of these sources, so I would not use it. Okay, then we have rose, and again, rose, we want to make sure when we're making our formulation, if you're including rose oil, you're only using 19 drops in this source bottle. Okay, that's not 19 drops in your 1 ounce formulation. It's 19 drops in your source bottle, so you're not exceeding the max dermal use in the formulation. Rose is so potent, so powerful, you only need a tiny, 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 tiny amount to be so effective. So less is more, and when you see the cost of rose, you probably won't want to use all 19 drops. You'll probably want to only use 10. Okay, spearmint is wonderful, antibacterial, antiseptic, anti-inflammatory, and it's also stimulating. It doesn't have the same cooling effect as peppermint does, so I prefer spearmint. Then we have Melaleuca. This is the true Melaleuca, Melaleuca alternifolia. Okay, not to be confused with the Nioli Melaleuca viridiflora and the Kajput Melaleuca leucanandron. Okay, these two you can use undiluted, but tea tree oil, Melaleuca alternifolia, you have to dilute it. Okay, and we're not going to use more than a half. Okay, 50 drops in the 100 drop formulation bottle, so we can use up to 50 in order to be sure that we're not exceeding that maximum dermal use. Okay, Then we have spike lavender, which is an analgesic and a nerve tonic. Sandalwood, antiseptic, and it's a general body tonic. Eucalyptus, we don't want to use this in children under 8, but it's a great antibacterial antiseptic. It's going to keep the area nice and clean, and this also is anti-infectious because it has that 1.8 cinolol in it. Then we have the geranium, okay? This is regular geranium, not rose geranium. And this one, we have some drug interactions, so you want to be careful with that one. Then we have yarrow. Yarrow is one of the blue oils. All of the blue oils have this beautiful cooling effect to them, but all of the blue oils also have some drug interactions, so you want to be careful that you're not using them if you're taking medications that have not been cleared by your aromatherapist, okay? And then lastly, we have the Spanish lavender, which is great for anti-infectious, but you don't want to use it if you're at that certain age and stage of womanhood. And we have benzoin, which is a great antiseptic, so it's really, really good to keep that area clean, but you don't want to use it with children under 2. It's too strong. And you don't want to use this on open, blistered, or peeling skin. So this would be skin after the peeling has gone away and the new skin is regenerating. You'd want to use that as an antiseptic to kind of protect that new fragile layer of skin. Okay? And lastly, we have the menthol peperita. This is the peppermint oil. And this oil, I actually didn't see this before. This is the first time I'm actually seeing this, but I've not had a client with a cardiac fibrillation, so it's not something that's ever come up in practice. But you do not want to use peppermint oil if you have a cardiac fibrillation, and because of the menthol content, you don't want to use it in children under 8 years of age. But peppermint, as we know, is very, very cooling to the skin. It is antiseptic, so it's going to keep the area clean. And it's invigorating, so it's going to help stimulate the area, and it's going to help stimulate you, kind of like invigorate the mind, body, and soul. So it's a really good one to use, again, for burns that are going to take a little bit longer to heal. Okay, so again, what I'd like you to be able to do when we're done with this and you've had a chance to peruse the list and smell the oils that you have is to choose 2 or 3, maybe more if you're more familiar with oils and you've used them and have used them with and around your family. So I like tangerine. It's one of the oils I used to use daily for my skin detoxing. And I like lavender because it's super soothing. I love that high floral, but I love that kind of earthy smell to it. And then I have the niaouli. And the niaouli, it smells like melaleuca. It has that nice herbaceous kind of musky smell in it. So I've chosen those 3 oils, and what I did was I simply kind of divided it in thirds. I have 34 drops of niaouli, 33 drops of tangerine, and 33 drops of lavender. And I've put on the label that I'm going to mix 18 drops with 90 drops of soluble and use in 1 ounce aloe or water. And I've dated it. So this has sat for a while, so I'm going to go ahead and smell it. And I like it. The niaouli is very powerful. The florals are very, the lavender is very under. It's like an under hidden note. And I can't even really smell the tangerine. But that's okay. So what I did is I have put in my cup here 90 drops, 4.5 milliliters of my soluble, and I'm going to drop in 18 drops. Okay, and I'm going to mix it. see now that it's kind of open, I can smell the lavender more. So you can kind of see that it's got kind of that milky color. So it's kind of like an emulsification, right? Process. So now that it's got that milky color, you can see everything's kind of draining in together. That's been thoroughly mixed. There's no oil slick on the top, and there's nothing down below. Now I could, I have a stirrer too, so I can stir this guy up as well. And I like using the silicone. You could use metal if you want as well. Okay, so you can stir it just for a little bit until you're satisfied that it's been thoroughly mixed. And then I'm going to use the aloe vera gel in order to make my formulation. So this guy, I like these guys. They have the graduation on it, so it's 1 ounce. And it's just a plastic, so it's easy to use once and then be done with it, rather than have to try to get the essential oil out of the glass that I mix in. So now I'm just going to go ahead, and I should have showed you that that was at 1 ounce. But now I'm just going to go ahead and mix that guy up together. And you can see that it kind of turned it white, and that's kind of that emulsifying effect of the soluble dispersant. Just like with a lotion, how the lotions become white even though there's nothing in the lotion that's a solid to keep it that white color. And then I have my gel. So I could take a little bit and put it on the skin. And I like the way now the tangerine's coming out. So there you go. So I'm going to go ahead and use my funnel. I'm going to put it in my bottle, which I've pre-labeled with what it's for. It's burn treatment. The ingredients: aloe, soluble, niaouli, lavender, tangerine, and it says applied to affected area up to every hour as needed. Okay, so it's in a non-clear container because the essential oils are light sensitive. And I'm going to go ahead and put that in my first aid box. So have questions, comments, let me know. I hope this was helpful, and I look forward to bringing you video number 8. Have a blessed day and oil away.